Good evening, guys. Welcome. Forristicat here. Today I wanted to put forward what I'm thinking about, which is this first sort of part of the final season of Breaking Bad. So I think by now, we sort of have a feel and sort of, I guess, gauge for, where this series is actually going to end up at when it actually gets finalized in 4 more episodes. I think that you look at one of my previous videos, it's gone in a sort of totally different way to where I thought it was going to go in. I thought I was going to go into more, Walter White just really becoming badder and badder and badder until, until all hell breaks loose. But it seems to me he's sort of having a little bit of sort of, Walter White left inside him. And personally, I'll tell you what, I sort of didn't really want to go in this direction. I wanted to see him go deeper and deeper down the rabbit, his Scarface rabbit hole or whatever. So yeah, a little bit disappointed in that. However, I think that the direction that Vince is taking this show in is sort of, if you're not just going to be this crazy guy just killing everyone or whatever, just the amount of sort of emotional manipulation that this guy is doing. I mean, it's obviously, especially with the last episode between him and Walter, Walt Jr. I think that's where sort of Vince was going. That he's really damaging all his relationships around him, sort of emotionally, and now it's gone to the point where it's like wet sticky tape. You can try to use it, but it's just not going to work. And I think that given these final few episodes, I'm really sort of hanging for that crazy scene where he just pulls out a gun, just starts killing people left, right, and center. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be a little bit sort of scaled back. That's what I personally want to happen, and I guess I'm not even sure how that would happen anymore, because I can't see the steps which would have to happen within 4 episodes to get to that point. But nevertheless, I will go on a limb enough to say that there will be some sort of crazy action sequence towards the end where he starts killing people and stuff. And it will be interesting to see what the actual tipping point for that is. I think that once he realizes he lost everything, he might see something and get some idea okay, well, if I've lost all my family, what else do I have? What else do I have to gain here? And he realizes that, what? Stuff it, I'm just going to go out with a bang sort of thing, or maybe he even tries to, if he beats his cancer again, he might try and sort of go out separately and try and make his drug business, somewhere else. But whatever, Vince is sort of toying with us with these flash forwards. I think it's a very interesting storytelling device. And if Vince is as smart as, what he's coming across as, I think that, these flash forwards are going to be not exactly what we're seeing, and it's probably going to be, something else a little bit different. I mean, he's teased us with these Scarface references and stuff like that. And, now I think about how does Scarface end with, Tony Montana collapsing into his pool, right? I mean, how many times have they shown that freaking, Walter White pool? Like 1 million times, right? So I think that has to be involved somehow. Maybe a shootout at his home or whatever. But regardless, apart from, Holly, which is a baby, so she's not really much of an interactive character at the moment, the main sort of focus is shifting to Flynn, or Walt Jr. I mean, he's sort of the one that's oblivious to everything, and he's the one which packs the most sort of emotional storytelling punch. So I'm thinking that Vince is going to sort of exploit that. He's saved him off to the side, and he's going to sort of really milk that sort of plot point for what it's worth. It's interesting to see that even Hank, he doesn't really care if Jesse dies or not in the last episode, but that's mainly because he has a different perception to Jesse, as I listened to in a podcast, than us. He sees him as a junkie, whereas we've really sort of gotten to know him heart to heart. I think the episode where Jesse agrees to meet him was pretty well done. I really didn't expect the meeting to happen so quickly. I thought they were going to shove it off to the next episode. But regardless, I think that I really wanted him to meet and sort of get that confession sort of on tape, and from there sort of think, where do we take things from there. But I guess, given his mental state, I think he just was doing cocaine or something. It makes sense that he sort of ran away from it. And then again, I think that all story writing in general, even with Breaking Bad is no exception, is that the writers sort of have to juggle between surprising you, and when they actually do surprise you, actually make that surprise actually make logical sense. And that's sort of difficult, because to get from point A to point B in a story, you have to go through all these sort of steps. And sometimes, to really surprise someone, you have to find like this jigsaw puzzle piece that no one else is thinking about. But then, much like a murder mystery, when you sort of see it there, it's like, wow, that's amazing. It changes like previous scenes and stuff like that if it's really good. And at the uttermost extremes, like changes your perception of a character and sort of what you feel about that character. And I think that that may actually happen given these 4 episodes left. I mean, Walt still has these sort of like tendencies to be like, I'm not going to kill Jesse, this, that, and the other. But I really want to see Walt push towards that sort of balls to the walls, just crazy mode. And I thought when they sort of took like steps back from that sort of crazy Walter White, remember my name sort of persona he has, I'm like, okay, where are they taking this? So obviously they are taking a more sort of psychological approach to this, like look how much he's lying. He's lying to everyone. I mean, the hugging scene with him and Jesse hugging and not even saying anything, and Jesse just really wanting some human connection with anybody, and like he wants to hug him, but he can't, obviously, because he doesn't trust Walter. I really thought that he was gonna shoot him in the desert. I mean, the scene obviously when Jesse finds out what happens with the rice and just like smacks the crap out of Saul, that was very shocking, very intense episode. And of course the last episode showing the 24-esque sort of thing where you see like one perspective of a story then another one. That's also very good. And the confrontation between Hank and Jesse was also very interesting. But yes, I mean, I really want to be surprised by this show, but having a show being very popular is a double-edged sword, because you have so many people thinking about these things, posting videos on YouTube, speculating about these ideas, that eventually you're going to hit someone on the same wavelength as Vince Gilligan, and they're probably going to predict the ending of the show. And if it's not 100% a correct prediction, then it's going to be sort of a mixture of certain ideas all together. So of course writers are only human. I mean, we're all collectively sort of talking about fandom and stuff. We might actually accidentally predict the ending of some TV shows sometimes, or whatever, or books we're reading, games we're playing. But at the end of the day, I think what it really comes down to is just the way it's executed, like directing wise, of course, acting wise, and especially the music. I mean, Dave Porter, I think, who does the music behind Breaking Bad, has really done a good job of creating like intense feelings and almost like a sort of satirical, sort of funny side to it. Like with cooking the meth with that Sky Blue theme song, a couple of episodes, last season or whatever. And here with like Walt in this latest episode, Walt thinking, what do I do, and sort of taking out this gasoline. You got this funny funny Mexican Western music there in the background, so that's also a very good idea. Good use of music there. So I mean, for me, the best scenes here when the acting is like 100% spot on. Like I'm not even thinking that these people are actors or actresses anymore, and I'm just viewing them as sort of the characters that they are on screen. I'm really engrossed in the story, and I'm feeling some sort of emotion. There's my trifecta once again, and I think that if we up the sort of pace again, this one was sort of like a little bit of a chess piece episode. This last episode. But man, like these next 4 episodes, they're really gonna have to push a little bit more. I want to see Walt encounter some situations or make some decisions which push him towards that crazy Scarface end of the spectrum. I don't like it, but I find it fascinating that we are seeing a story of like a man's transformation, which is where of course TV shows and books, however movies, because movies are finite, books you can have like Song of Ice and Fire series brings to mind. You have like slow burning character development. Same with TV shows. Like you really get to know the characters throughout the course of the whole series, and that is remarkable that you're actually thinking about some character that is just came from someone's like mind. I think that blows my mind. So I think that I want to see him transform into this crazy guy, and I'm just a little bit, like I mentioned at the start of the video, a little bit skeptical of how that's exactly going to happen, but I'm sure that something crazy is going to happen. Even so, like you got these scenes in the car with him pulling out that M60 or whatever, where his house is all alone. He's all alone by himself. So I'm thinking that something will happen after that where he might just snap and he'll be like, fuck it, I'm just going to do all this crazy stuff. But who knows what's going to happen. If I had to predict what was going to happen from this point on, I mean, I like the idea of this is a great podcast I listen to. It's the Bald Move Network, so it's bald These guys do Breaking Bad podcast, and they get all these viewer feedbacks from people in fandom out there as well. And one listener wrote in and said, when Jesse says, I'm going to hit him where his home really is, he's actually talking about Walt Jr. Like actually tell him and sit down and explain to him, look, your dad is this crazy meth dealer. When your mother was acting like this is what happened. Isn't it suspicious that he always makes up these funny stories, blah blah blah, and actually sort of destroy him, psychologically from the inside out. And hopefully, when we do get that out, it's going to be some crazy action sequences, like the shootout with Hank and the twins and stuff like that, and the head on the turtle exploding, stuff like that. Of course, the meth sort of being thrown and the building exploding, like one of the most badass scenes ever put to television, I think. These are all fantastic action sequences, and apart from Saul getting punched in the head a couple of times, and can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but you know what, this has sort of been like a emotional drama, first and foremost, because it is dealing with the family, as the centerpiece of this scenario we are seeing being played out. But nevertheless, I think that Vince knows that we should, or the story writers know that we are expecting some sort of as Mike said, he's a time bomb ticking away, and he doesn't want to be away around for the boom, which I'm sure is going to go off in these 4 episodes. So prediction wise, I think that I think that Jesse is gonna, obviously Jesse is the sort of petrol behind the next sort of plot point. Obviously he's gonna do something. He's like, there's a faster way, so maybe like blackmail or something, but it is really hard to speculate what's gonna happen next. It all depends on the next episode, of course, and what Jesse's idea of a faster way to get him actually means. And I like the scene where he just shout out, crying, he can't keep getting away with this. And I think that is interesting that everyone has their own sort of tipping point for when Walt became evil or whatever. I mean, poisoning a kid is ridiculous. I mean, anyone with some sort of moral compass would be like, what, that's just pushing it too far there. Walt's like, nope, Walt had the chance to back away. He didn't back away when he had like a million opportunities to, and now he's getting his karmic justice. So I think that if Jesse dies, that's really going to fuck with everyone's head, because Jesse is really written to be a likable character. Walt, everyone sort of, people have been rooting for him now. There's not many people rooting for him at all, obviously for obvious reasons. But nevertheless, let's see how this all plays out. We'll see what sort of faster way Jesse is talking about. Overall, a little bit disappointed in that I thought it was going to sort of be like more action, sort of action upon action upon action upon action. But of course, I want to give the benefit of the doubt here and think maybe there's some sort of other things which need to happen behind the scenes first before this all comes to a head. So yes, Jesse is going to push the plot forward. They're setting up something with Walt Jr. there, obviously, because he's the sort of unknowing victim at the moment. Let's see that crazy, action explosion Scarface ending. Okay, that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts or not. Forristicat, later.